Hey y'all, it's Dark Sugar Podcast coming to you fresh out the packet with everything black.
Hey y'all, welcome to Dark Sugar Podcast. I am super excited today. Y'all know we don't do guests, we do co-hosts, and I'm joined today by Rashadah I, and she's a board certified physician assistant, and she works in VA in psychiatry. She is Jersey made, Southern grown, and has a testimony of resilience that has shaped her perspective and fed her need to help others. She's an entrepreneur, author, and a speaker. She's working on building her brand to help others unleash their power and conquer their dreams no matter what their circumstances may be. Introducing y'all to Rashadah I.
Hey, family. Hey, I'm good to be here this morning. How are you guys doing?
We are eager for all your information, all your knowledge, everything you are doing in the community. And I'm really excited because myself, I've never met a Black physician assistant, a Black physician, a Black psychologist. I know they exist, but I haven't ran into them in particular. And we're close in age, right? Wait, how old are you? We don't have to announce. How old are you?
I am 26 years young.
You are 26,
Yeah.
and I'm about to turn 26. And I don't like to do the comparison thing, but I'm like, dang, girl, you done. I know you don't feel like you've maybe made it. You feel like you have a ways to go. But in my eyes, I'm like, you did the damn thing.
Oh, stop it. Stop it.
Yes. And I just want to know how, because when I hear physician assistant, I'm kind of like, what does that mean? What do you do? And maybe can you tell our audience how you got inspired to do psychiatry?
Yeah, so physician assistant, we're mid-level. Are trained on the medical model like doctors. Our programs, the length of the program vary. I know my personal program lasted 27 months. And so during that time, you have a didactic year, then you have a clinical year, and then you study intensely to take the boards, and the boards is called the PANTS. It's 300 questions, 1 minute per question. So it's very, very intense, and you're taking everything doctors get a chance to learn across, spread out across a couple of years, and we're compacting it to 2 years and 3 months. Now, I do know some programs have a 3-year program or 4-year program. I think that we've done away with the bachelor programs for now, and it's just a straight master's. But yes, pretty intense, pretty stressful, but so rewarding. So I got into psychiatry because, okay, it's a funny story. So when I was younger, I knew I wanted to go into medicine, and I started out wanting to be a pediatrician. And then my grandfather got sick. He had a heart attack. He was going down the drain. He passed away in 2015. He was my whole personal statement, but he went through a lot of cardiac issues. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to be a cardiologist. And then he was going through a lot of renal issues. So I was like, I'm going to be a nephrologist. And then I was like, I can't go to school for 100 years. Big ups to all of our physicians out there. I mean, they study aimlessly. I mean, they put so much effort into becoming a physician, but I just did not have that in me. And so I found out about physician assistant because I was involved in AHEC, which is a pre-med club in Florence, South Carolina. And they helped me so much because they actually exposed me to the profession. They had a physician assistant come and speak, and I was like, what is a PA? So I did my research, and I was like, that's what I want to do. I don't want to do medical school anymore because PAs go to school for less time, less money, less debt, and I'm able to do specialties whenever I want to. So when I started PA school, cardiology down. Then I started getting into cardiology, and I was like, this ain't for me. So maybe I should just do family medicine. But then when I started going on my rotations, I loved family medicine, but my second rotation was psychiatry. It was on an inpatient unit. I was scared to death because I didn't know what to expect. But once I got in there, I fell in love with the patients. I fell in love with how easily the information came to me. And I didn't pick up on it right away. I did my elective rotation in outpatient psychiatry to see the difference. And then one of my director, one of my teachers, and then one of my friends told me that I should really consider psych because the information came so like easy to me, and I loved it, and I loved talking about it, and then that's what I went into.
That's amazing. I'm still stuck on that 300 question
Oh yeah,
test. That's what I'm still
yeah.
I'm just like, okay, now can I ask you something? Because this is what I've been
Okay,
hearing. And this is a misconception, and you can just clear it out for
okay.
everybody. People say that physicians are fake, like fake doctors. Like psychiatrists are like fake doctors. You know what I mean?
Mm.
Like people be like, they just give you medicine. They don't really know. That's what I hear. People try to discredit.
No, I mean, anybody who says that is obviously ignorant. We go to school like forever. And I mean, well, doctors do, but physician assistants, when we're in school, we're under a lot of stress, which is why majority of us come out with anxiety, having panic attacks and everything, because there's no way you can fake your knowledge when you take that 300 question test for 5 hours, 1 minute per question. Some questions you have labs and things like that, and you have to
Mm-hmm.
know your stuff. So there's no way that you could just like, that's just a give me and you just pass your boards. Like some people actually fail their boards and then have to retake it, and you earn your license that way if you got to do it twice. But and I don't look down on anybody, because I know personally, like I failed my boards the first time go round, because I focused. I had just relocated. I started a new job. They were depending on me to pass. I was half studying, half assing it. So if I would have actually not had so much on my plate, so much transition during that time, and actually studied like I was supposed to, I would have passed. And I don't look down on anybody that has failed, because obviously we know the information. But it's just that if you're not focused, and as with anything, you will fail. So, but yeah, yeah,
Totally. And I think that misconception comes from the fact that we don't understand psychiatry. We don't understand the connect to mental health. We think it's like an extra curricular thing. It's weird. So can you explain exactly what a physician assistant does?
yeah. So physician assistants, like I said earlier, we can go into any specialty. Our job, well, our sole purpose was to bridge the gap between physicians and patients, because we know and
Mm.
overload and patients, they don't have a lot of time. So that's when PAs kind of step in and fill in the gap. And because we're trained like physicians, there should be no missing the step. Like we don't get up here and call ourselves doctors, even though a lot of patients will end up calling you a doctor, not understanding the difference between the two. But we're just here, we can spend more time with you, and we have more time to do things. Physicians are usually, they have their hands in a lot of things. And so, and I know a couple of places that charge, like they pay you on how many patients you see per hour. And sometimes
Mm.
they have to get on to the next patient. It's not that they're being inconsiderate. It's just, I know physicians, they work so hard. So we were created to fill in the gap. Um, I think I forgot your question. What was the question?
What exactly a physician assistant
Yeah,
does? But no, you cleared it up for me because you said physician assistants, they can work in any
right.
specialty, like any. Okay, so that makes, so your specialty is psychiatry. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So did you have, okay, so you went to PA
Uh-huh.
school. How did you get into the specialty of psychiatry?
Like a lot of people, it's a misconception. A lot of people think you have to do a fellowship or a residency to go into a specialty, but you don't. Like when you're in school, you learn the basics of every single specialty, besides like something highly specialized like pediatric cardiology surgery or CT surgery. Like you don't that,
Mm-hmm.
but you learn the basics of every single like physiopathology, pharmacology. Like your stuff. The job is supposed to foster your growth. So a good first job, like an idealistic good first job for a new graduate is to get with a job that knows, hey, they're just getting out of school, they got all this knowledge up here, but we're going to add to it, we're going to foster their growth, make them feel comfortable. And when you're in a good environment that fosters your growth, you grow. And so with me going into psychiatry, that's pretty much what happened. My job took me in. I did go through an orientation onboarding type of thing, and I got a chance to shadow all four of the other PAs to see how they practice, get comfortable and meet
Wow.
the patients before they just threw me in there and left me by myself. But I still knew what I was doing because I just took my boards. I had all this knowledge up there. I think the hardest
Mm-hmm.
part was knowing your interactions between drugs. So in psychiatry, because we're specialized, but I still have to know every single medicine, supplement, vitamin, everything that you're taking, because I need to make sure the psychiatric medication that I'm giving you won't interact with anything. And so, I mean, there's
Right.
apps, there's websites to help you kind of figure out interactions and stuff. So I kind of got into it just straight out of school. You just apply for the job and hope you get it. And once you get on there, it's your job's opportunity to help wheel you in slowly and let you
Mm-hmm.
fly. Let you fly.
That's amazing. So you're talking about moving through the educational system, picking your specialty, taking these tests.
Yes.
And I'm just thinking that must be challenging because, as we know, uh, science, I feel like, is
Mm-hmm.
scary to a lot of Black
Yes.
people, because of, unfortunately, the distrust between African Americans in Western
Mm-hmm.
medicine, but also, you know, some people say science isn't for us. We're not, you know, we're not meant for science. Like, oh, you're a Black scientist, you're Black in medicine, like,
Right.
weird, right? So like, what was the challenge being? I'm assuming you were the only Black girl
Yeah.
sometimes,
All
most
the
of the times,
time. Yes,
all the
I was
time.
actually the first Black physician assistant that my company hired. And so it was a shift
Wow.
for some of the staff because they were not used to seeing, you know, they see Black patients, of course. We see patients of every creed and ethnicity, but it was just different to have me on the staff. And, you know, I guess I really surprised people with my work ethic and who I am as a person, or any underlying biases they might, or prejudiceness they might have had against Black people. Since I was the first one, I was kind of paving the way for all the other Black professionals to come behind me at this company. So I really, you know, showed them that, hey, whatever stigma you were thinking, that's not me. And I mean, after a while, they got used to me, I got used to them, and now we're cool, you know. But at first I could
Mm-hmm.
feel there was a little bit of tension, and no matter how they tried to cover it up and be extra extra nice, I could just tell, like I could feel it. So
Yeah.
it was a little frustrating at first for me, because I'm just like, okay, I'm trying to make the transition from a student to a clinician, and I'm trying to make sure I'm doing everything that I can so when they let me fly and start seeing patients, I'm ready. But then at the same time, I have to also make sure the staff and everybody is comfortable with me. And I thought that was my job. But now I know, looking back on it now, that wasn't my job with me.
Mm-hmm.
But to answer your question, I think that Black people, and especially nowadays, you know, celebrities are talking more about mental health, songs are mentioning it more. And I think it's very, very important. We need to do away with the stigma in the Black community that mental health is taboo, because as your mind thinks, your body follows. So if you're anxious all the time, and you know, anxiety presents in different ways, like it can spontaneous vomiting or stomach aches, because you have a lot of serotonin receptors in your stomach. So a lot of people, medical professionals that might not have mental health in the back of their mind, they might just be like, oh, IBS, fibromyalgia, you know, anxiety can cause pain. So that's a diagnosis of inclusion. And of course, there's certain criteria you have to meet with pain points. But I think a lot of people need to actually be open-minded towards mental health in the Black community, because if you suffer with anxiety, it can affect your body in so many different ways. And stress kills faster than anything else. Um, and you just don't need to
Mm-hmm.
deal with that when there's medications out there that can help you. And most of the SSRIs, SNRIs, like as long as you're being treated for a certain period of time, those aren't long-term medicines. But I always tell my patients, keep in mind that if your mom suffered with anxiety, if your grandmother suffered with anxiety, it's probably best to stay in the quality of life. It's probably best to stay medicated, because if the medicine is helping you, why would you get off of it? Just like if you have diabetes or
True.
heart problems, would you stop your medicine just because you feel better? You know? So I try to tell
Right.
people to think about that, and then they be like, oh, you're right. Or sometimes people are hard-headed and they have to come off their medicine and go through, more anxiety and to realize
Yeah.
they need it. So, yeah.
So through all of that, being the only Black girl, being in these new spaces, relocating and everything, what kept you, like, why didn't you give up? What kept you so
Well,
resilient?
I knew that I could not return home. I've been through a lot of trauma in my life. And I mean, now my home life is great because I'm not living there anymore. And my relationships with certain family members are great. Not to throw them under the bus, but I just knew that was an environment that I did not and I could not thrive in. I needed to be by myself. I needed to be in an environment where I made the rules, where I determined how I felt, and where I could control majority of, my emotions and how I feel, not feeling depressed or waking up feeling sad or undervalued or unappreciated because I had somebody constantly in my ear putting me down or criticizing everything that I was doing and so forth. So I knew that I didn't have any other choice but to keep moving forward because there was nothing left for me to return home. Like, I could not do that. I couldn't deal with that. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like you had no other choice but to move forward and to
Right.
keep going. That's really inspiring because I feel like a lot of people, a lot of Black people, a lot of Black people our age
Mm-hmm.
right now are kind of feeling like they're kind of looking back and they're like, okay, I see what I got back there. But then when they look forward, they're just scared as shit. And I think you're just so inspiring, just how I never just once heard you complain in any of your story. You just kept going and I just kept going and I just wanted to do this and I just wanted to do that. And, I think that's something inspiring that we can all take away. But my next question is, I guess, like, I'm thinking about myself in college when I really realized that my mental health was kind of out of my control. And that's when I realized, okay, I think I need medication. And I remember first starting with vitamins like 5-HTP, ashwagandha, things like that. And then I was finally like, okay, I need some like serious medicine. I am not doing okay. I'm crying every
Right.
day. Like this shit is crazy. But my mom I was kind of already introduced to psychiatry. Like that wasn't a foreign world for me. But I guess I'm thinking about somebody who is struggling. It's like, I guess my question is, how do you know when you need to take medicine? How do you know when
I
you need
think
it?
exactly what you just said. Like when enough is enough. When you've tried other things, you might have tried counseling, you tried, having that best friend to talk to, you've tried, I mean, maybe even spiritual leaders in the community, you've tried pouring out to them, reaching out for help, advice, and nothing seems to be helping, and it's completely overwhelming, debilitating, hindering you. Your quality of life is going down the tubes. I think that, at least having an initial appointment to hear about what the recommendations would be, what are the pros and cons, and maybe even if you don't start it during that initial appointment and 100% agree to it, just taking your time to think about it. And I don't say, please don't go to Brother Google, because if
Mm.
a WebMD, not throwing them under the bus either, but they can say everything is cancer. Like, oh, you take this medicine, it's cancer, or your arm hurt, it's cancer. I'm like, please, you guys are not, please do not compare Google with my degree. Please make sure that you ask the professional what the cons are. I
Yes.
am not going to lie to you and risk doing something to you that is going to cost my medical license. Like, people need to realize that I'm not lying. I'm telling you the most common side effects and the most serious side effects. If I tell you every single side effect, you're not going to take the medicine. I mean, yeah, there's a laundry list of side effects if you open up the insert when you pick up your medication. There's a laundry list of side effects if you take Tylenol and Motrin. But do you experience all of those? No. So, at least make an appointment, listen to what they have to say, think about it. And if you feel like, okay, me trying this medicine and potentially feeling better versus me keep continuing to live this way, which one is better for me? And they might choose the medicine, or they might choose to continue living this way. Who knows? But I would at least try to make an appointment and listen to what they recommend, what they have to say, and what your choices are, and then go from there.
Yeah, I think the first step is the hardest part for a lot of people, or even admitting that, okay, what I'm
Right.
doing is not working and I need to step outside of myself, um, and ask for help. Uh, and speaking of help, I want my audience to be connected to you, girl. I appreciate your time and your just your knowledge. I want all my people to move on to subscribe to this girl's podcast, go to her website. She's doing so many different things. Rashadah, can you just give the people your
Yes,
platform and
you
how
are
to
so
reach you?
sweet. You're so sweet. So my Instagram is the Resilient PA. My website is www.theresilientpa.com. If you're interested in becoming a PA, my mentoring website is www.dreamsinspirelife.com. And my podcast that just launched on January the 4th of 21 is called God, Coffee, and Resilience with Reese. We post bi-weekly episodes. The next episode is actually coming out next week, on January the 18th, if you guys, but it's every Monday at 7 a.m. And I'm across all platforms. So check me out, guys.
Amazing. And you know, I try to do Sunday playlists, like what I've been listening to. Reese will be on, so look out for her. I'm gonna be putting all her
Oh,
episodes out. Thank you so much for connecting with me. I can't wait to do more episodes with you on more specific topics. Everybody stay safe.